Ladies and gentlemen, this is day 12 of my Christmas series, reaching out to any of you who maybe don't have family or friends to spend with over this holiday season. I don't want you to be alone. I've felt a little bit alone in the past over Christmas because I haven't always visited family or friends. Let's jump straight into it. So we'll finish off answering some of the last questions. And then, like I said yesterday, I will go away for my Christmas vacation with my friend. As I record this in my time right now, it is the 22nd of December. You guys and girls will be watching this on like the 29th or the 30th of December, but isn't it funny how time works? So Ned Flanders 472 says, I purchased the book. And the book he's referring to is our book on getting laid in 6 weeks. Cam wrote a book and I contributed to it as well about how to get laid in 6 weeks, even if you're inexperienced or a virgin, with the caveat being you'll get laid in 6 weeks if you apply yourself, if you do everything that's in the book and really go hard. So Ned Flanders says, I purchased the book, One Question Regarding Setting Up Your Tinder Profile. I didn't find any information regarding the bio or other profile elements. Are you sure, my friend? I'm pretty sure that he wrote stuff. I'm pretty sure we wrote stuff in there about the bio. No, you are correct, my friend. I just went and checked. There isn't anything about the bio. And the main reason is it doesn't really matter, man. Like, it honestly doesn't matter that much. I know there's a billion videos and guides and stuff like that on the internet that talk about what to put in your bio, but it's not as important as your pictures. As we have in the guide, there's a whole section on like example pictures and what to do and how to take those. Those are the things that I would focus on the most, particularly your first picture. But remember that it's okay. Like part of this process is giving yourself permission to suck, and it's okay if your photos aren't great. You can just upgrade them over time. Like, you get multiple tries with this. It's not like you get to go and do one photo shoot and your pictures aren't perfect and you go, oh no, I'm doomed forever. So I promise you the bio doesn't matter that much. And these are some examples from my Tinder guide that I wrote, many years ago. You can just steal one of these, my friend. Just put something like this. I'm just looking for a cool girl to chill with. Take one of the cute, flirty, sexy ones if you want as well. I'm cute, you're cute, let's grab a drink. And then just put something in there about your personality. Put in there some of your hobbies, put maybe some of your goals or your ambitions or what you're working on, maybe put what you're looking for, whatever you want to put in there. But I promise you the bio doesn't matter that much. The bio is sort of like secondary to your pictures. Tinder and Hinge and Bumble, they are predominantly like picture-based apps. You're seeing if there's a connection or if you're attracted to the person or if you think they look interesting through their pictures and that. And then the bio is kind of supplementary to that. So just put stuff in there that kind of relates to your pictures or relates to your hobbies. You can kind of think of it as long as I didn't put something insane or ridiculous in my bio, then I did okay. So as long as you don't say in your bio, hey, I like to punch dolphins in the face, and then I really like to kick soccer balls into old ladies' faces when I walk outside. Like, as long as you don't write something like that, you'll be fine, man. So just put something mildly related to your hobbies. If you want to, you are more than welcome to. You can either write another comment at some point, make another comment and I'll reply to it with like your example profile if you want to. Like, write your bio. So write a bio, post it as a comment if you want to, and the rest of us can look at it and tell you if we like it or not. But I promise it doesn't have to be perfect. Or if you want more help with this, you're welcome to hit me up for a coaching call, like one of the $200 calls, and we can go through all this stuff. But I promise you the bio doesn't matter super, super, super. And remember that you can improve your bio over time. So the biggest thing that Cam wrote in this guide, he has it kind of like right at the top, and maybe I won't like scroll through and try and find it, but he basically says like, give yourself permission to suck with this stuff. Like, you don't have to be perfect. Just like start and take action with this stuff, and then you will improve over time. So put any bio that's like semi-decent, and then remember that you can rewrite it multiple times as you go. This isn't like your one chance at writing a bio. A lot of guys, when they first, women do the same thing, but a lot of people, when they set up a dating profile, they think like, okay, I have to get it perfect because this is my one shot. And it's like, what are you talking about? Like, even if you make the world's worst Tinder profile or Hinge profile or Bumble profile, if it's really that terrible, you can just upgrade it over time. And then you might think, oh, but then everybody's already swiped no on me. Okay, so delete and remake your account. And then you get shown to everybody that had already swiped no on you, but now you have new profile pictures and a new bio and you look all fancy and everyone thinks you're cool. So don't stress. Like, you get multiple tries at this. I promise it's not as big and scary as you think it is. And I know that it feels big and scary at the start. It did for me. Trust me, I get it. I promise I get it. You go on to say, I did read the How to Lose Your Virginity guide by Good Looking Loser. Yeah, so Good Looking Loser wrote that guide like, I don't know, 15 years ago. And as you said, he wrote that more for Plenty of Fish and OK Cupid. So there's still lots in that guide that's useful, but I don't know. I wouldn't necessarily use the guide because he didn't talk much about philosophy or anything. His guide was very specifically for Plenty of Fish, and it doesn't really apply. It's not like an evergreen guide where if you go and read my Tinder guide on my website, it's mostly about philosophies, which means that the dating apps themselves don't really matter. You know, I talk about self-improvement. I talk about self-love. I talk about, putting your best foot forward. I talk about the numbers game and talking to a lot of people. I talk about, what to do if you don't get any matches. I talk about what to do on dates. I talk about how to have foreplay. I talk about how to have sex. I talk about what to do if you're nervous, how to connect with another human being, what to talk about. I talk about what to do in the actual bedroom, like a million different things you can do during sex. I talk about how to build it into a relationship. I talk about like how to keep the relationship going, all of that kind of stuff. So you see how that's like not related to an actual dating app? Like the dating app in my Tinder guide doesn't fucking matter. I called it a Tinder guide, but you could call it anything. It could even just be, you could use that Tinder guide for like meeting random people in cafes and starting conversations with them and building a relationship. So I would just use my Tinder guide. And for anyone who doesn't know what I'm referring to, on my website, I have a free Tinder guide. The whole thing is completely free. You don't have to enter your email or any of that, nonsense. It's just sitting right there. So you can go and read that. But this Get Laid in 6 Weeks guide as well is basically all the same philosophies, but condensed down more into guys, or for guys who are inexperienced or a virgin. So you say that, blah, 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 blah. On the other hand, I've read your free Tinder guide. Great. So you've already read that. Brilliant. Beautiful. I'm unsure if the guidelines for setting up the profile there are also applicable for my case. Very inexperienced guy. Yeah. So because you don't know, so you know how you're like an inexperienced guy, obviously. There's going to be a lot that you don't know. And so one of the things that people think when they don't know something, and this is a beautiful thing, but you think, man, my case might be different. Because I'm an inexperienced guy, is all the stuff that's in the Tinder guide, does it not apply to me because I'm inexperienced? No, it all applies to you. The entire reason that Cam, and I contributed to it too, but the entire reason that Cam wrote this Get Laid in 6 Weeks guide was because we've had a lot of virgin guys in the coaching program. And Cam and I, every time we have a virgin in the group, we want to give them a big hug. And everybody in the coaching program wants to give them a big hug. Anyone that's inexperienced, you have so many fears and insecurities and doubts, and you think you're not good enough, and you look at the fact that you haven't had a lot of sex as evidence that maybe you're not worthy, maybe you're not good enough, maybe you are a loser, all of that kind of stuff. And every coaching client, we just want to give them a big freaking hug. And Cam literally wrote this book as a hug. That is the entire reason the book exists. It's the reason why it's $1, rather than like $500 or some shit, because we just want to give a big hug to everyone that's inexperienced. And that hug is there to basically tell you, yes, everything in the Tinder guide does apply to you. Like, you might be more nervous about it. You might be more more inexperienced, which is what this Get Laid in 6 Weeks book is for. It's literally there to hold your hand through this process. And, the question, I'm unsure if the guidelines that are in the Tinder guide apply to me. What you're going to see, and this applies to all of you with any goal in particular, not just sex and not just if you're a man, but like any goal in general, there are always multiple ways of achieving a goal. There's usually almost infinite ways of achieving a goal. There usually isn't one correct way. Now, almost everyone on the internet, or lots of people on the internet, will tell you that there is one way, and it's their way, and their way is correct, and if you don't do their way, then you're an idiot, and blah, 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 and you got to listen to me. And, the ego gets pretty loud. The ego gets pretty loud and says, I'm correct. Listen to me. How dare you question my advice? How dare you go against me? How dare you tell me that my advice isn't the best way of doing it? And they get very defensive, and they get into debates, and they argue, and YouTube drama, and all of that kind of stuff. But what you're going to see is, in life, there are usually infinite ways of achieving a goal. And so, my Tinder guide is not the one correct way of doing things. this Get Laid in 6 Weeks guide that Cam and I wrote is not the one way of doing things. There's a lot of different ways of doing things. And this process, for you, Ned Flanders, at this point in time, I would recommend that you just follow the book, which you're doing, like, good job. Or you can follow bits of the Tinder guide, but just, put those two things together and follow things and be okay with making some mistakes. Be okay with giving yourself permission to suck. Be okay with not getting it perfect. Be okay with maybe needing to try something and then try something else and then try something else. This is a process of learning and evolution. And even if we wrote every single thing in the guide that we could possibly ever tell you, which the Tinder guide is pretty much that. My Tinder guide is 130,000 words. For comparison, the average novel is about 30,000 words. So my Tinder guide is over 4 times as long as a book, as a novel. 4 times longer than a novel. I wrote everything I could ever think of in there. But you will still, when you go out and actually try it, figure things out that I didn't put in there because I didn't have time, or I thought that it would confuse you if I put it in there, or I didn't want to overwhelm you, or it really wasn't that important, or I just didn't think of it. And so this is a process of iteration. Any goal is a process of iteration. It's you going out there, trying it, seeing what happens, getting some feedback, making some mistakes. And I don't believe in mistakes. They're learning experiences. There are no mistakes, but you get what I mean. Going out there and, having some women say no to you, risking looking a little bit silly, being vulnerable and maybe being clumsy with your vulnerability, trying to be honest, but just feeling really awkward and uncomfortable when you are honest. All of this kind of stuff, it's a process of just trial and it almost is trial and error. And so all of this is to say, I promise you're going to make it. You don't have to have the perfect answer. It doesn't matter if your bio isn't perfect. It doesn't matter if you follow this guide or you follow the Tinder guide or you follow something else. All of these guides, whoops, what did I click? All of these guides are literally just there to hold your hand and show you that you'll be okay. I've said this a million times. I'm going to get full screen for a second. I've said this with all of my content. My only mission with my content and my coaching and all the video courses and the books and everything that I release is to tell you that everything is okay and everything is going to be okay. That is the only reason I am here. It is all that I'm trying to get across to you. You will be okay and you are okay. I even talk about this in my Play to Win video course. I have a section where I say, if you take one thing away from all of the content I've ever done and all the content I will ever do, I'd love it to be this. Everything is okay. Everything is going to be okay. Literally, that is the entire mission of my content, of me as a human being. If I can get across to most of you by the time that I die, not most of you, but a chunk of you by the time that I die, that you're okay, you'll figure out the answers. The answers are within you. Like, you might have to go out there and do some trial and error and figure some things out and learn and grow and evolve. But you, as you are right now, are capable of achieving the goals that you have. It might take a little bit of time. It might take a few years. It might take a lot of time. It might take some learning. You might look silly. You might have doubts. You might have insecurities. You might hit a rut. You might fail a lot. Again, I don't believe in failure. I think it's a learning experience, but you might feel like you've failed. You might feel like a failure, but I promise you, you will get there. And that is the entire point of the book. That is the entire point of my Tinder guide. That is the entire point of my coaching and my content and this YouTube channel and my Spotify and my blog and everything I will ever do on this earth is to show you that you're going to be okay and that you will be okay and that you'll make it, that you'll hit those bloody goals. And so don't stress so much about the bio. I promise it doesn't matter. Just write a decent bio. And again, you're welcome to leave a comment. Say, Andy, and everybody else in the YouTube comment section, is this bio decent? I'll tell you what I'm going to say. I'm going to say, yes, that's great. Go try it out. And you can change it a month or 2 months from now. You can update it 2 months from now. And you'll constantly update your bio. I've updated my Tinder and Hinge bio 1 billion times over the last, how long have I been doing this? 8 years, I guess. I've updated the bio in my YouTube channel. If you look on my YouTube channel in the About section, at the top of the channel, there's a little About Me section. You can click that. I've changed that 1 billion times. I've changed my intro for my YouTube videos 1 billion times. I've changed my blog 1 billion times. I've changed so much of this message, I guess, that I'm putting out 1 million times. And you're allowed to update. You're a constantly evolving human being who will be updating anyway. So your bio is kind of like that. So are your pictures. So is the format of your dates, what you talk about on the dates. You're going to change that over time anyway, as you figure out what you like and what you enjoy. So you don't have to be perfect. Give yourself permission to suck. I promise. I promise. I promise. You will reach your goals as long as you follow my 3-step formula for success, which is give yourself permission to suck, take a little tiny bit of action every day or most days, and don't quit or keep going. All right, user RD6LG1VK9G. I swear to God, YouTube is making up these usernames, isn't it? There's no way you guys and girls are making up these usernames. You say, I've always believed that I'm terrible with people. If you believe that, then that will be true. And that's not, I'm not telling you, just stop believing it, bro. But like, that is the reason why you're terrible with people. So who would you be without that story? Like if you were to sort of let go of that and just sort of say, maybe I'm not terrible with people. Do you think that would be freeing? Do you think you'd be a little better with people? And so what you can do, I talk about this in my video course, in this chapter so this is in my Play to Win video course, which there's a link in the description below. There's a chapter called Everything is a Story, and you're in control of the stories that you tell. And so realize that what you're saying here, I've always believed that I'm terrible with people. That's just a story that you made up. And you might have evidence for it, and you might sort of defend and say, no, Andy, it's true. Look at all the evidence that I'm terrible with people. And so what I would say to you is, okay, that's one version of events. That's the story in which you're terrible with people. Now tell me a different story. Tell me the story of how you're great with people. And you might say, I'm not great with people. I suck. I just told you I'm terrible with people. No. Give me 3 reasons why you're great with people. And you might need to go away and think about that. You might have to meditate on that for a little bit and be like, I'm not great with people, am I? 3 reasons. Can I even come up with 3 reasons why I'm great with people? And you might need to take a couple of days or weeks and think of it, but I promise you, you are capable of coming up with 3 reasons why you're actually great with people. And if you just add one item to that list every day, like every day sit there, maybe put it in your calendar and say, 6 p.m., set an alarm that says, in the morning, set an alarm that says, say one reason why I'm good with people. I'm actually great with people and I just didn't know it. I'm great with people and it turns out I'm the last one to know. Everybody else knows it, and I'm the last to know. And every day you add one item to that list, and you might come up with a list of 10 or 20 reasons why you're actually great with people. And you go, Jesus fucking Christ, I thought I was terrible. I've been telling the story that I was terrible with people. I genuinely believed that story. I genuinely, with all of my heart, believed that I was terrible with people, but I'm not that bad. I mean, there's some guy out there or some girl out there right now who's like got agoraphobia and depression and they're suicidal and they literally can't leave the house and they haven't talked to a stranger in like a year. That person I could say is terrible with people. And even then, that's still just a story, but fine. I can say that person is terrible with people. I'm not like that. I can at least go out and talk to some human beings. I might be nervous and shaky and all of this kind of stuff, but at least I can do it. There you go. That's one reason why you're great with people. So, all of this is to say, if you sort of keep telling yourself, as you've said, you did right, I've always believed. So you understand that it's like a belief, and beliefs aren't always true, or we're allowed to question our beliefs. Beliefs are stories. Beliefs are just one way of looking at things, and everything has multiple ways of looking at it, or different stories that you can tell. If you want more on this, you can read any of Byron Katie's books, especially Loving What Is. You could look into something called CBT, which is just a therapy thing. It's called cognitive behavioral therapy. And that is basically just a way of saying, you can look into reframing as well, especially with Stoicism. So the word is reframing. But all of these concepts are just different ways of looking at the same event. Like, can I look at the event through a different lens? You know how like in journalism and the news, and it doesn't really apply much anymore, but you know how journalism back in the day, like good journalism would look at both sides of the story, whereas now the news, particularly if you're watching like the mainstream media, tends to just have one agenda and they'll look at things through one lens and they'll just say that point of view. They won't give you the opposing side, or they won't give you multiple different ways of looking at it. They'll just tell you their agenda and you need to shut your mouth and you need to open your mouth and just swallow all the bullshit. But back in the day, journalism was a little bit more like it would look at it through both sides of the lens or through different lenses. You can kind of do that with every story that you tell yourself. So I'm terrible with people. You can be like, okay, that's like one side. That's one side of the story. Let me get the other side though. I want to go and get the other side so I can say I'm unbiased. Right now you're being very biased. You're not meaning to be. We're all, by default, we're all very biased. Our mind or our ego gets an idea in its head of like, I'm terrible with people. And maybe we have a little bit of evidence for that. Like, I'm not saying that you're completely making up the story. It came from some evidence. Maybe one time you tried to talk to someone and it went just not the way that you expected. And you were like, holy shit, I'm terrible with people. Like there's evidence for it, but you've only gathered evidence for one side. So go and gather evidence for the other side. Go and be a little bit more rational. I talk about this in my video course, in the Play to Win video course. So this is one of the chapters. This is in the chapter Overcoming Fear, Limiting Beliefs, and Self-Doubt, which is what we're talking about here with your question. And I talk about balance and logic. And I say, sometimes I get so caught up in my fears and the things I'm worried about, which you kind of have. You have a sort of belief or a limiting belief that you're terrible with people. And so I said, in this course, I like to be a person of rational logic. So I choose to then also write out a list of positive things that might happen, or in this case, positive stories about yourself, to balance things out. And so I go through here and I give like a whole bunch of examples over the next couple of pages. I think I'll show them on screen so you can pause and read these if you want to, or just grab the video course. It's $1. But yeah, I talk about like looking at the other side of things. So yeah, I went down a giant rabbit hole, I know, with your first sentence, but the stories that we tell about ourselves are incredibly important. I've talked about, or they're incredibly impactful. I've talked about how words are magic spells, and the stories that we tell are like magic spells. If you say that you're terrible with people, it's almost like a magic spell. Like you make it come true. This is known as a self-fulfilling prophecy in psychology and, human psychology. So if you say, I'm terrible with people, it's like you have a magic wand, like some Harry Potter shit, and you're like, Lemgardium Leviosa, but you're like, I'm terrible with people, and then it becomes true because you cast that magic spell on yourself. And so I try and tell the stories that serve me, the stories that add to my life. I talked about this in my video course, in the Play to Win video course. And I talk about if we're in control of the stories that we tell, which we are, you can tell whatever story about your life that you want. You can say that you're a terrible speaker to other people, or you can say that you're great with people. And I say, wouldn't we want to tell the stories that serve us? The stories that get us closer to our goals, closer to the person that we want to be, the stories that make us feel good and motivate us and fill us with energy and joy. And so you can kind of ask yourself about this question. Like, if you believe that you're terrible with people, does that make you feel good? Probably not. Does it motivate you? Probably not. It probably just makes you think, what's the point? I'm terrible with people. Why would I fix that? And now, to be clear, to read the rest of your comment, you literally say, I'm working on this. I'm going to go do this. And so you can maybe say that everything I've said here, I'm preaching to the choir. You already understand these concepts, but I really want to drill it in because this is such a huge thing. And, the stories that get us pumped up and excited to work on our goals, as I said, it can be hard to work on your goals when you're feeling a little down or hopeless. And so the stories that make us feel that way, helpless or down, they're not empowering and they're not as positive. They're not as productive as positive stories. And so rather than saying, I've always believed that I'm terrible with people, like I said, I would sit down, man, and I would write like 3 reasons, and you can write more than that, but at least 3 reasons why you're actually great with people. Look for that evidence. Be a little bit more unbiased, or look for the other side. And then you might find, wait, I'm actually okay with people. Like, I'm not terrible with people. Well, I could say that I'm terrible with people, but I could equally say that I'm decent with people. Okay. Fuck, man. If I'm decent with people, then maybe I'm not broken. Maybe I just want to go out and talk to some more people and practice a little bit. Maybe it's just a skill. And here's another thing that you're doing. This is a psychology thing, or this is something that psychologists and therapists will tell you. When you identify with something, rather than just talk about it as if it's a skill. So what you're doing here is you're saying, I am terrible with people. You're making it all about you. You're saying, I am terrible with people. That's me. That's my identity. I'm terrible with people. And it can be very difficult to change an identity because we cling on to it. The ego, our mind, our ego wants to cling on to identity because that's all ego is. Ego is just identity. So if you say, I'm terrible with people, it's very hard to break you out of that. But if you instead say, I haven't had a lot of practice with people, then that's not you. That's just, I haven't had practice. Okay, so it's about not having practice. Okay, well, I can improve that. I just need to have more practice. I'll just go out and practice people. That's a skill. It's like a skill in a video game, a stat in a video game. I can just upgrade that. That's easy. I can just grind XP like I'm playing a video game or something. I'll go talk to lots of people. I'll level up that stat of, social confidence, and then I'll get better at it. Okay, cool. But if you say I'm terrible with people or I'm shy, It's like that's just who you are. That's like baked into your character and it can't be fixed, or it's really hard to fix. And so rather than identifying with stuff, it's why you'll never hear me identify with stuff. I will say, I have this rather than I am this. And sometimes there might be exceptions to that. Sure, I'm not perfect, but generally speaking, I try not to say, I'm bad at this. I'll say, I just haven't practiced that. Or I'll say, I'm bad at that, but I'm improving it. Like it's just a stat that I'm improving. So yeah, try not to identify too much with your flaws. And this applies to all of you. Try not to identify too much with your flaws, because then you make it harder, because your ego will want to defend that and will want to cling on to it. That's why one of the most interesting, like fascinating psychological things that happen that I've seen is the like the incel movement, I guess. People who say I am an incel. My God, you are making it so hard to have sex and lose your virginity if you literally have your identity wrapped up in the fact that you haven't had sex yet. Because what happens the second that you do have sex? You lose everything. You lose your identity. You don't even know who you are anymore. You hung out on incel forums and you called yourself an incel. Now you're losing that. It's like a huge fucking loss. It's almost like you grieve over the fact that you were an incel and now you're not. And so you see how if you call yourself an incel, you've literally wrapped up your identity in that and made it so much harder to lose it, because it's more of a big deal. But if you were to just say, oh, I just haven't had sex yet, but I'm still me. I'm the exact same me. I just haven't done something yet. It's just something that I haven't done yet. In the same way that some people have never traveled out of their country, other people maybe have never tried a certain type of food. I just haven't tried sex yet. Okay, cool. I can just go try sex anytime I want to. It's not a big deal. So, yeah. But you go on to say, I intend to start doing a modified approach anxiety program. Yeah, why not do it now? Why are you talking about what you're intending to do? What's stopping you? And anytime you say, I intend to, or I'm going to, or I plan on, my question is, why haven't you done it right this second? Like the time you spent writing this thing, and I'm very grateful you wrote this, by the way. Good job opening up. But the time you wrote this, why didn't you just go outside and wave at a stranger and be like, hi, how's your day going? And they wave back and they're like, hello. And then you go, cool, I did it. So I always like to start something and then tell people about it. So rather than saying, I intend to start, what if you had already done it and you said, today I went out and talked to one stranger and I said hello to them, and I'm going to keep doing that. So talk about what you have done, not what you're going to do. So go out today. Here's my challenge to you. Here's our challenge from the community to you. Go outside and talk to a stranger. And come back and say, I did it. I talked to one stranger and now I'm going to keep going. I already have momentum. Now I'm going to keep going. This is what I talk about with New Year's resolutions, where I say, don't set a New Year's resolution. Don't talk about what you're going to do. Go do something today, right now, as you listen to this video. Every single person listening, here's my little challenge to you. If you want to take me up on it, go and take some baby step towards whatever your goal is, and then post about it and say, I did this. Here's what I did. Rather than, in January, I'm going to start taking action. It's like, what the fuck? Why don't you just take action now? Why are you waiting? You're waiting because you're scared, which means when it comes to January 2nd or whatever, and it's time to start, you'll still be scared. So you'll just procrastinate again. You'll be even more scared because you just waited a week. Procrastinating just builds it up into a bigger thing. It's less scary to take one little baby step right this second than to wait till January 2nd or wait till things are perfect and then get started. Wheeled and well armed. That is a cool display picture. My God, that's amazing. I love that. Good video. I start with the sexual bucket list, talking through everything. Good job. Yeah, for anyone that wants to start, so this is on a BDSM guide, for anyone that wants to start BDSM or even just kinky sex, or even if you're a guy who's going out talking to women, if you want some motivation, like some energy and some impetus to go outside and start talking to women, write a sexual bucket list. Like write a list of all the cool, fun, sexual things that you want to try. And every day, just like look at that list and get excited about that. That's incredible motivation. It makes you want to go outside and meet some amazing women to have all these cool, amazing, wonderful sexual experiences with. Any women listening, same thing. I have a woman in the coaching group right now who was sort of procrastinating a little bit, getting started with her own sex life and her own dating life. And so we said to her, or what she did is she went and did a bunch of research on BDSM and some things that she wanted to try. She basically came up with her own sexual bucket list, and that was incredibly motivating. And then she was like, do you know what? I don't feel ready to start dating, but I really want to meet some awesome guys and start doing some of this stuff with. And she has. She's gone on to do all sorts of crazy stuff. I might see if she wants to come on the podcast at some point because she has some wild stories. She's done some like crazy kinky stuff and she's met some crazy guys. And okay, I won't spoil anything because I'd want to make sure that she's okay with me sharing some of this, but she's done some amazing stuff. She has had some wild, crazy adventures. So that's really interesting. Speaking 8206, watched a video and then basically, I guess, timestamped basically the entire video. So I guess you're saying you like the entire video. That's cool. Whipster number 2, Whipster number 2 says, I'm retired. Thank you for this video. And this video was on BDSM and, whether to do or the differences in keeping BDSM only to the bedroom versus doing it like outside the bedroom in what might be called a BDSM lifestyle. So Whipster 2 says, I'm retired. Thank you for this video as I train my new pup. And for any of you who don't know what a pup is just like a nice, like a term of affection, I guess you would say, for a particular type of BDSM known as like pet play. But it doesn't have to be pet play. You can just call someone a pup. It's similar to calling someone like your baby or honey or something like that. I'm teaching him the difference between lifestyle as well as the bright and creepy ugly side of a healthy BDSM form of life. What's the creepy ugly side? Now I'm more curious. What the hell is the creepy ugly side of a healthy BDSM form of life? What's the creepy ugly side? Oh my God, now I'm curious. He already knows that I will release him when I feel he's ready. Thank you. Your video is part of his homework for today. Oh my God, I love that. Okay, yeah, I've done that with lots of women where I'm like, go watch one of my videos or go watch like, here's another video on the internet on like a particular BDSM topic. Like go watch that and that's your like sex homework for today. By the way, like that's a really fun thing to do with people that you're dating. You can give each other sex homework. So you say like, all right, do you want, and you ask first, you say, do you want to do sex homework? Because some people don't, but like the vast majority of people say yes. You say, do you want some sex homework? And people are like, what is sex homework? And you're like, it's homework, but it's sex. And they're like, oh my God, okay, like what is it? And so you can give them all these homework tasks. I've done so many videos on it, so I won't, talk too long right now, but you can give them sex homework tasks like go and take a nude picture for me every day or masturbate for me, but you're not allowed to orgasm. You have to stop right before you come, do something kinky, at work, sneak into the bathroom and take a picture of your boobs. Or, I guess if you're a guy, take a picture of, I don't know, what do women like, or what do gay guys or women like to see on guys? Take a picture of your fucking hairy arms. Look at that fucking hairy arm. You like that, ladies? You like that, gay guys? That's nice, isn't it? So you give people homework, I guess. And yeah, that's a really fun thing. Whipster 2 goes on to say, by the way, he's serious about what he needs. I ask him, is this a want or a need? He's proved that's a need. I'm 60 years old and retired from the lifestyle. He's 50 and hungry. That's really cool. I love when older people find my videos, by the way. I find that so unbelievably cool. I'm 36 and I find it really cool that there are people in their 50s or 60s that are still engaging in BDSM, having sex, self-improvement, starting a business. I've had quite a few, I think maybe like 5 or 6 coaching clients at this point who are in their 50s. And I always find that unbelievably humbling that somebody in their late 50s, I worked with a guy that was like 59, wants to hear what I have to say. And I try and take my ego out of it, obviously, and I just sit there for the person and try and help them in whatever way I can. But it means a lot to me. I used to have a lot of insecurities. By the way, I really appreciate everyone that leaves comments. I'll say that real quickly. But I used to have a lot of insecurities around, could I ever help anyone that was older? Could I help people who are married already and, maybe they don't need my relationship advice? And we've worked with a couple of clients that have been married or that have been in a relationship for like 10 years. We worked with a couple that had been together for 10 years. Imogen and I coached them together. And it's just unbelievably humbling and really beautiful. Because like I said, I had all these insecurities. I had all these limiting beliefs around who I could help or what I could help them with. And, I'm not good enough to help someone who's already married. Or, I've worked with a few clients that are fathers, and we've helped them a little bit with being a better father, with being more of a father that they want to be and being more patient with their kids and being more loving with their kids and all of that sort of stuff. And I had so many insecurities around that stuff. I was like, what the hell could I ever help a father with? I'm not a father. I've had a vasectomy. I never plan on having children. what could I help with? And it's just been really nice to see that some of the ideas that I have, or some of the things that have been given to me, the philosophies and the books and things that have been given to me, they're universal. And obviously they're all universal because we're all humans, but I didn't know that at the time. I thought that, when I first started doing this, I thought all I can ever help people with is how to have sex. And I can only ever help men who are in their 20s and maybe in their 30s, and that's it. And no woman would ever benefit. Like, there's nothing I could ever help a woman with. There's nothing I could ever help anyone older than me with. And there's nothing I could ever help anyone with outside of sex. And it's been really nice to see that, yes, I can help people with their mental health, or with peace and love, or with relationships, or with marriage and kids, or with money, or with any of these topics. So I'm unbelievably humbled. I'm unbelievably grateful. I'm going to finish this damn video now. We've been talking for 35 minutes, even though I said this was a short one. I'm going on a holiday to see my friend right now. Any of you that are alone over the Christmas period, feel free to leave a comment and I will reply to everything over the next couple of days. By the time you watch this video, though, I will be back. So I will continue doing content and I'll reply to everything. As always, ladies and gentlemen, actually, before I say that, if you want to grab the video course that I've mentioned a billion times, the Play to Win video course, I'll leave a link down in the description below. You can pay whatever you would like for that, even if that's $1. Feel free to pay more, or feel free to pay just $1. I also have coaching. The links are in the description below to that. As always, ladies and gentlemen, go out there and crush those goals.